It's the Doomed and Stoned podcast with your host, Billy Goat. Hang out with us for the next few as we explore the music and the stories of the heavy underground. Brought to you by doomedandstoned.com.
Jesus was my blues man, and now I really understand. my bluesman. Jesus was my bluesman. Jesus was my bluesman. He left me for a foreign land.
Hello and welcome to the Doomed and Stoned Show. I'm Billy Goat, your host. With me is John Guest from Vegas Rock Revolution. We're back for a 6th season on the air, and we have a very special guest this week, the one and only legendary Brant Bjork. Brant, welcome to the program. We're very privileged to have you here.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Right on, man. How's your weekend getting rolling?
My weekend so far has been fantastic. You know, I'm here with my family, and we have some friends over, and we're just having a good time.
Right on, right on. John, we haven't heard from you yet tonight. How are things going?
You're just getting ready to set that fire so we can get going here a little bit with me.
All right.
Brant, it's great to hang out with you again. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, always a pleasure as well, of course. Good time.
We had some good ripping times. A couple shows up at Vant. This last one, ooh, that was a good party though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's always fun. Always had a good time in Vegas, for sure.
So you recently put out a new album. So talk to us a little bit about this album, because it's a beautiful piece. The lyrics, what you've done songwriting-wise, everything is just an amazing adventure. Great job, Brant.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank
Like
you, I
really, it's
appreciate
cool. You know, you played all the instruments, obviously sang, you wrote it. Is this like 100% you the whole way? And how do you come about thinking about it, and creating something like it?
Well, this record very much reflects my first solo record, Halamanta, in the sense that, you know, back in '99, I felt like I needed to express a body of work of music which was inside me, and I didn't have the means, or I didn't even have the patience to put together a collective of musicians to express it. I felt like, well, I'm going to be very daring, and I'm going to just do it all myself for the sake of just getting that music out in a timely fashion. And what's interesting is after 20 years of making solo records and performing and having a solo career, which I was never planning on as a young musician, this record is kind of like a kind of full circle. You know, I had agreed to put out a new record with Gabe at Heavy Psych, and I got very busy, and the band, we were all very busy. And in the end, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got literally weeks to do this. And I was excited about the idea of like, well, I don't really have any songs together, and I don't have much time, and I just only have myself. And all those factors kind of inspired me. I was excited to just go, hey, well, let's see what, after 20 years of doing this, let's go back to the original effort and see what I can come up with. And this is what I came up with.
Wow, that's amazing, Brant. You know, the opening song we played tonight is one that I've just, since I've heard it, I'm like, this is my favorite one on the album. This song is like one of the best songs of 2020.
Cool.
Jesus was a bluesman.
I'm glad you like. Yeah. That song is about. It's a story. It's a fictitious story about a guy down in Mexico named Jesus, because Mexicans, oftentimes will name their kids Jesus. It's not an unpopular name, which I grew up with a lot of, at Jesus, as they would say.
Right.
And I always thought that was cool, that they were shameless about naming their kids Jesus. And it's a groovy name, And so the story is about a Mexican guy by the name of Jesus down in Mexico who has dedicated his life to playing American blues.
That's cool.
Right on.
It's really a neat song. I'm a big fan of it, and the way, not just the idea behind the name of the song, but the song itself really has just a very catchiness to it. A lot of the stuff that you've done on this album really gets many of us fans back in time to almost like stuff you used to listen to, maybe, or maybe you grew up with a little bit. Because tell me about your feeling on like your influences when it comes to 70s, 80s kind of stuff.
Well, when I was absorbing music as a young person, I was blessed in the sense that I had multiple sources of interaction. Like my parents that raised me, they were older, from an older generation. They were baby boomers. And so they were, my adopted father was born the same year as like John Lennon, and so like he wasn't really feeling the Beatles. He was feeling the same music that the Beatles were pulling from. So I grew up on like, you know, Chuck Berry and Ray Charles and
Bob
Fats
Dylan.
Domino. You know, my mom liked a little bit of Bob Dylan, but my parents were like, you know, they weren't really, you know, a little bit of Dylan. Not on my dad's side, but my
Right.
mom was probably feeling a little bit of Dylan. She had a folk thing going on, but they were all pre-hippies. They weren't hippies, man. You know?
I get it.
And,
Same, yeah.
But then, like, I would exit out into the neighborhood, and there's a bunch of, like, older guys. I was the youngest of all the guys in the neighborhood. And then they were very much had their feet planted in, like, what was popular at the late 70s, early 80s, which was, like, Queen and Kyuss and Ed Nugent and Aerosmith and shit. So I was hearing a lot of cool rock, cool rock in the neighborhood. And then I came home one day from, you know, the bus stop after school, and I was a latchkey kid, and I came in and I saw Rock and Roll High School on cable TV, and then like that kind of summed it all up. It was like the Ramones was like the ultimate gift because it was a combination of like Chuck Berry and Buddy Holly and Kyuss and Queen. It was everything all in one, and it was accessible, and it was ugly, and it was primal. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get involved.
Huh. And you were the youngest in Kyuss, right?
I mean, we're splitting hairs, but technically Josh was the youngest. I mean,
Okay.
Josh and I we're about 3 months apart, and John was the oldest, and Nick was about a year older than us. And then Scott Reeder was like, I mean, he was an old man. He was way older.
Yeah, that's funny. He's with Fireball Ministry nowadays.
Yeah.
I saw those guys play, open up for Red Fang at a now defunct Las Vegas club called Beauty Bar. It was like outdoors. So it was funny when you went through the front door after 12 o'clock, the front area inside was full on rap. But then in the back would be these rock or stoner shows or metal.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's just such a fun clash. And people would come outside and see like what's going on Red Fang that we're there for rap. The looks on people's faces it's priceless. It's almost like a TV show. It's just so funny.
I know, it's so bizarre. Whatever pays the bills, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But out there, that's where we met Reeder a few years back.
Right.
You know, one of the first times I met you, Brant, was at Stone and Dust. And how many years have you guys been doing that now?
Oh man, I lost track, but we've been at it for about 3 or 4 years. Well, the original one was Desert Generator with the van show. That's what kicked it all off.
What a great lineup that was.
Yeah, that was a blast. And then after that, you know, I thought that was just a huge success and so much fun. And then, you know, my manager and obviously the promoter of Stone Dusted, Dr. Jones, was like, hey man, what if we did like a full-on, you know, desert show, like in the desert, like almost like a Generator style? And I was like, whoa, man. I mean, that's all. I was like, that's like a whole other thing, man. But, you know, to his credit, he doesn't roll over, man. He's like, nah, man, let's do it.
Oh, it's been
so
great.
we're like, we figured it out. We're like, how can we take the best elements of those, like, you know, super, you know, primal events out in the desert that we all grew up with out here and turn it into something that's contained and you can experience it and have fun and not have to deal with all the less fun elements. So that was the challenge.
Hey, I got a question for you, Brant.
Yeah.
Tell us about the craziest Desert Generator party you've ever been at.
Oh man, I've been to quite a few crazy Desert Generator parties.
Give us like a highlight. A lot of us have the imagination of what it was like, but not many people have done it.
The craziest party that I ever played at was at the Nude Bowl, and this would have been about 95, and this would have been with the band, a hardcore band I was playing with called Decon. So this would have been after Kyuss and before I joined Fu Manchu.
Right.
And we were playing, we had a nice little following because we were doing this kind of desert hardcore punk thing that wasn't really happening at that time. So we were filling a gap, and we were playing at the Nude Bowl, and everyone was skateboarding, and there was a nice group of people there. And all of a sudden, we were set up on the deck of the pool, which was not uncommon for bands. That was kind of a tradition to play right there on the deck.
Mhm.
And I noticed that all the people that were watching us started to leave quickly. And I thought, wow, that's odd. I mean, I didn't think we sucked that much. And then I noticed that I was playing drums in this particular band, and I noticed that I started to feel this surge of heat on my back. And our singer turned around from singing and looked at me and looked behind me, and then he kind of gave the motion of we need to stop. And I turned around, and the whole hill behind us was on fire.
Oh my.
And some knucklehead from probably Desert Hot Springs, DHS as we refer to out here as locals, which is a hot spot, and there's a lot of feisty guys that come from DHS. And there's always been struggle over who claims, the nude bowl. And someone was lighting off fireworks, and the fireworks didn't agree with some of the brush and the shrubs that were happening at that time. It was during the hot months. And the whole hill went up it was like napalm.
Oh, jeez.
And but I'll tell you, man, I've never seen about 200 people evacuate faster before. It was amazing. But a friend of mine couldn't get his truck out. His truck burned down. But
no.
we made the headlines the next day in the morning paper, and that was the beginning of the first major shutdown on the Nude Bowl. They buried that motherfucker.
does it take to make a friend who will catch your fall? Wait for the sound of help, but no one seems to call. What if everything you feared, it didn't matter at all? Where do you find the words you really want to say? Why does the feeling appear and then it goes away? Why do they beat you down when you start to bawl? They fall deeper in love with the bus when they watch you crawl. And all of the years they took the keys and the credit from you. To get the taste of a win, you gotta learn to lose. Ah, so now sing a song. Oh, you can do no wrong. Oh, now you're feeling strong. Oh, and it's been so long. You know it's been so long. And it's been so long. It's been so long. It's been so long. It's been so long. You know it's been so long. You know it's been so long. You know it's been so long. It's been so long.
I was watching your video today of you guys with doing the Blue Oyster Cult, you and Ryan.
Oh yeah.
That was great. That's
Yeah,
entertaining
that was
stuff
fun,
there.
man. Yeah, that was fun. We had a good time doing those, man. That was like our take on this whole YouTube revolution, you know?
Right. That was pretty funny, actually. Now, when did you start? When was the first time you sang? You know,
The first
we
time
know
I
you as a
sang?
drummer to start. So, what's kind of the background for when you started really getting in there and lead vocals?
I mean, it all goes back to me writing songs, and I was writing songs as far back as I picked up a guitar when I was, you know, probably not long after I started playing drums, probably about 13. I think my mom gave me an acoustic guitar for my 8th grade graduation, and I started, you know, playing songs on the guitar and trying to sing along, and I started writing songs, and then I try to it was kind of just natural, you know, it's like you want to say something, and you've got music in your ears, so instead of saying it, you sing it.
Sure.
And I used to show John Garcia all the time, like, hey, I got this song, man. I think this would be cool how it would go. And John was very, very malleable. He was very open and very cool back then. And he'd be like, yeah, man, you've got an idea. Like, you're focused and you're convicted. And, like, how do you want it? I'm like, what do you think about this? He'd be like, yeah, let's try it. So we had great teamwork, and that's where it all started. And then, you know, you just don't stop. You know, when you start something, you don't stop. Interesting things happen.
What's your favorite song you wrote while in Kyuss? Dare I ask?
Well, I mean, when I wrote Gardenia, I thought I stumbled upon a classic. Sure.
Such a good song.
It's just a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. You know, it's just a good blues song. You know.
Absolutely. You definitely, it looks like, you know, you've been influenced by a lot of different stuff along the way. That's pretty obvious. And the blues part is an interesting part. When you think about your favorite kind of blues musician of past, whom would you say is the most for you?
Well, I came to the blues late. The blues came to me. The blues is inside
That's cool.
me.
Right.
So my blues introduction was internal, not external. Because I grew up in the early 80s and late 70s where it was like, you know, the Ramones and Kyuss and shit, they're not playing the fucking blues. They're playing great music, but it ain't blues. I probably, to be honest, I probably got introduced to the blues through, like, my mom used to play, like, she had Disraeli Gears by Cream. I probably discovered the blues through the British electric version.
Yeah.
So, like, Cream, and then I got into Sabbath, and, like, War Pigs
Zeppelin.
and stuff like that. Those are, Sabbath is a fantastic electric blues band. And then, of course, Zeppelin and shit like that. So that's where I first got a taste of what the blues was. But then, and then I went back and started to understand, like, oh man, I understand this. This is coming from, like, B.B. King and Albert King, and Muddy Waters and shit, and then it's like, so yeah. But I mean, Howlin' Wolf is probably my favorite blues artist.
I'm curious about your production work because you've been doing that off and on for, gosh, well, I was just looking on Discogs today to see, and it's definitely not complete in terms of recording your production work, but it has one of your first credits of Fu Manchu record around, I think, 94 or something like that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that sounds about right. No one rides for free.
Yeah, that's the one. So yeah, I'm just kind of curious about how you kind of made that jump to production work, because these days, at least a lot of the bands we're talking to, you're becoming equally as well known as a producer as you are as an artist.
Well, back then, I mean, the term producer is a very, everyone has
it's kind of loaded.
Many definitions. There's many definitions of what a producer does. I mean, but my introduction to producing was nothing more than, for example, that first. I was very much involved with the production of when I was in Kyuss. I mean, especially with Blues for the Red Sun. I mean, I was very much involved with the production of that record. In fact, I was the one that asked Chris Goss to co-produce, and him and I used to stay up late and discuss what we wanted to do with that record, and how and why and what, where, when. So that was probably, arguably, my first formal production was Blues for the Red Sun.
What an amazing album. That's the one that I got introduced to Kyuss back then. So I was lucky enough to be listening to Kyuss when I was 22 or whatever. It's like 2 years out of college, 24. And that album is a masterpiece.
And as I was very young, but at the same time, I was listening to a lot of records. Right? Music was my passion, and I would see produced by on records, and I always used to think, what does that mean? And so I designed my own idea of what a producer was. And to me, a producer was someone who just kind of made sure the artists were captured in their most authentic being, and so, like, that's what I brought with Fu Manchu.
Helping guide.
Like when it was agreed that I would help Fu Manchu produce their first record, it's like I wasn't coming at it from a technical point of view. It was coming from more like, come in the studio and make sure that it's almost like a creative cop. It's like don't let these guys that run the knobs and have all these fancy technical doings like manipulate or fuck with our band or our sound. So it's kind of like a creative security guard, and that's what I did with Fu Manchu. And I didn't really have to do it then, because Fu Manchu recorded with this guy who was in this LA punk band at the time called the Nymphs. And he had a backyard studio. That's where we recorded that record. And he was very cool. He was very cool, and he knew what he was doing. And so once we started that recording, it was clear that we were going to capture Fu Manchu, and it was going to be great. I think maybe the most technical thing I did is he wanted to kind of tone down and contain the bass drum, and I said, no, man, let it be crazy and live, and don't put a pillow in it. He was like, oh shit, man, okay. And so, that might have been the extent of my technical input. But other than that, it was just about like, hey, let's make sure these guys don't get, don't water down the ice cream, man. Just let it be strong.
around. The race is going down. A sudden flash across the night. Out of sight.
Now, you dropped the name earlier, Mr. Chris Goss. And, I recently saw him at Masters Rowdy over there in the desert, and they were all set to play Stone and Dusted.
Yeah.
Now, do you remember seeing Masters Rowdy at all back when they were out, if you recall that? That was like, what, late 80s, 90s? Or late 80s?
Yeah, well, I first discovered Masters Reality in a magazine. And I went out and bought their first record, the Def Jam record. I really liked it. So I turned the guys on to that record. John and Nick and Josh. And I said, man, check these guys out. They're fucking great. And then when we met our manager, or soon-to-be manager, Catherine Enning, she said, hey, a good friend of mine wants to come to one of your shows this weekend. It's Cynthia Goss. And I said, wow, is her husband Chris Goss? And she said, yes, he's in a band called Masters of Reality. And I said, dude, I love that band. And so that's how I was already a fan of Masters of Reality when we met Chris. And what's interesting is Cynthia used to come see us when Kyuss first started playing Hollywood all the time, but Chris would sit at home. He wasn't a believer yet. He didn't have faith in any kind of new rock band. And then Cynthia would go home and say, hey, Chris, you got to come see this band. They're really good. And she finally dragged him out. And then after that, he was like, oh, my God, these guys are incredible. and then we became really good friends. And we became like family. But the first time I saw Masters of Reality was at the Roxy. And that would have been right after that new record. This would have been about 89, 90. And Ian Asbury was right next to me. He was watching the show.
Was he drinking back then?
No, he was incognito. He had a huge beard, and he was a rock star then. So he had to kind of come out incognito. So he grew.
Oh, he was such a big luck at one time. Jesus.
But it was great. They were great.
That's
in fact,
awesome.
I saw the first time they played with Ginger Baker too, and that was fantastic too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's right. That is unbelievable. I saw him, and Dave Catching was playing with him in this one, and it was just last year. A bunch of folks came out for it, and man, they ripped up it was at least probably an hour and a half set. Just ripped it.
Oh yeah, that's the reality. They were a fucking fantastic band. 100%.
And much heavier live.
They're still great.
chasing all the dogs away. Got a mean little kitten, chasing all the dogs away. People ask me if she bites me, wouldn't have it any other way. Got a mean little kitten, growls when you get near. Got a wee little kitten, growls when you get near. People ask me if she bites me, tell them put your hand right here. Yeah. Put your hand right here. Yeah. Got a mean little kitten, chasing all the dogs away. Got a mean little kitten, chasing all the dogs away. People ask me if she bites me. We should end the song right here.
I want to be respectful of your time, Brant. I don't know if we have time for another question or not, or if you need to
Sure.
skid out.
Yeah,
All right.
let's do one more.
So tell me what's next for Mr. Brant.
I mean, when
Don't know
people
yet.
ask me that question, I feel bad because I always say the same thing. It's just like I'll just probably do what I've been doing for years. I'll make another record, and then I'll go perform, or I'll figure out how to go perform. And that's what I do, man. What's next is kind of like it's just more of what I've ever always done.
For sure. That's cool.
I think a lot of us would like to live with that kind of attitude in mind, especially in these uncertain times.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. How do you feel as far as, do you think we even get out there to play shows anytime soon, or?
It's just a game of patience. I think everything will just kind of correct itself. I mean, that's just how it works. Human beings are great at adapting.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do. We adapt.
Right.
And human beings will 100% figure out how to party, and how to have a good time, and how to love one another, and how to fucking, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out, and I'll be there, and I'll be part of it.
Hell yeah.
Right on. And I look forward to Stone and Dusted in 2021. And I know we're gonna be talking with Ryan Jones here in a little bit. Did you call him Dr. Jones?
You know what? I had to start calling him Dr. Jones when we first started working together, because I have quite a few Ryans in in my personal life, and I'm like, I
Okay.
can't have another Ryan, man. I got.
There's just a lot of them.
I'll be continuously confused. So, yeah, Dr. Jones to me.
I love it. You guys have something a little special going on next weekend, I'm hearing, or we'll go into it a lot
yeah.
right? But you've done some neat creative stuff going on.
Yeah, we're gonna do like a California Desert Wizards Association production of just celebrating my new record and Stone and Dusted in general. And Johnny Man is gonna stream a live performance on the Saturday. I'm gonna hang out. We're gonna stream some acoustic performances that I did on Friday. And we're just we're just gonna get involved and we're gonna stir the pot. And we're in that time where it's like let's just start making shit happen.
When you said stir the pot, was that a pun intended?
No. I just meant like.
No, I'm kidding
Yeah.
with you, man. I'm just joking with you, Brant.
John, you and your puns.
At the end of the bar, man. Like we've done a few times. I look at you straight and then I just laugh. Oh, come on, man. Yeah. We're definitely on the same page on the topic of marijuana. I heard you talk a lot about it on the Blue Oyster Cult show you did.
Yeah.
I mean, you have a very open and good viewpoint of it. As you started a little earlier than me. I did 18. You were what, 13 you said?
Yeah, I started smoking when I was about 13. I'm not regularly,
Jeez.
like I was being turned on about that age. Yeah.
Wow. And look, you turned out all right. That's the funny thing. I tell
Yeah,
people
well,
that
I was just that's just an extension of my environment. I don't recommend kids smoking marijuana at 13 years old. I think they should wait till they're a little older for sure.
we all agree with that.
Get their psychology together before they start experimenting. But
Definitely.
back then when I was a kid, like I said, I was just kind of rolling with what was in front of me.
Right on. That's what defines a lot of us at certain eras of time, but seems like we always learn from it or sometimes not learn from it, but it's always a path we're constantly on in this world, that's for sure. Brant, I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me and Billy.
Yeah, it's been a
And,
blast.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Brother, you have a great rest of the night and weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, right on, man. Thanks for
Right
having
on.
me.
Thanks for being on the show, Brant.
All right, man. Right on.
That was Brant Bjork, and we are going to take a break and listen to some of his music. We'll be back with more of the show, and we'll have a chance to debrief that awesome interview in moments. Stay tuned.
I've seen this world and I know it's a kingdom made for kings who lead us. I know that the road to sin begins looking for the shortcut. I see the moment I might stay. The voices say, please don't leave us. When I hear the devil call my name, I catch a plane to heaven. I catch a plane to heaven. I catch a plane to heaven. I see that the bling of a diamond ring makes the thief insane. Make sure you take your pills for fame so you feel no pain. I'm sick of telling you that I I told you so, you feel me. Anything that makes the feeling grow is made from the same thing. I fell into the crazy world of love with you. I never get enough of the way your eyes possess me. So I fell into the crazy world of love with you. I never get enough of the way your eyes possess me. Every night the stars shine like diamonds. No matter the size, they hypnotize you. Please don't ask why they fall from the sky once falling. The harder you try, the softer a voice will say. The sooner we believe, the sooner we will dream. The things you got are the things that I don't need. I fell into the crazy world of love with you. I never get enough hijack groove, electric boogaloo. And bloodshot eyes are watching you. Vietnam rock on the radio. And we're locked and loaded when it's time to go. Night riders on their way to hell. And all the souls they're gonna steal with the shit they sell. With the shit they sell. Out to Vegas, gonna catch the dead. Got 2 5s and a dime to change my head. And all the rebel souls in the land of the free ain't ever gonna be a slave, 'cause it's rock and roll they bleed. It's rock and roll they bleed. Yeah. acting lonely, and it's time to go, and it's time to roll. Yeah, yeah. It's time to go. It's time to go.
All right, guys, welcome back. We have a special guest with us for the second half of the program. I don't know if we should call you Ryan Jones or Dr. Jones. What's your preference there?
You can call me Ryan. My other friends also call me Dr. Jones.
All right, with that little accent too, right? You gotta be cool with it, or you haven't earned your right to use it.
I'm not an
Okay,
actual
whatever you say,
doctor.
Billy.
Not an actual doctor. Gotcha. All right.
I'm just the doctor.
Yeah.
Well, Ryan, it's great to have you on today. Have you had a drink at all? The dirty water? What's going on?
Thanks for having me, guys. Super glad to be here. Yep, I'm drinking some Coors Banquet and sitting around a campfire in Joshua Tree right now.
Nice.
Now, you and me are doing a little old school. So you got Coors Banquet, you made sure, and I have Miller High Life. So always remember this. I'm living the high life right now. And I'm not lying because I sparked it up a little earlier too, but don't kill me. It's Friday night. Ryan, I was unbelievably looking forward to Stone and Dusted this year, which is a creation of yours. And I know you're just as heartbroken, I'm sure.
Well, it was supposed to be happening right now, guys.
Yeah.
Like, tonight
Right this
was the
minute.
first night. If Stone and Dusted was still going on, we would be at Happy and Harriet's right now.
Yes, we would. Yeah, exactly. Who was playing that night?
We would have had Yawning Man playing, and we would have had this really cool 60s, 70s psych band from Mexico called Los Dug Dugs, like a cult favorite. They're
cool.
really cool.
I gotta check those guys out. I have not heard them yet.
Yeah, definitely check them out. It would have been a really awesome night of music, and it's a little bit bittersweet, but we got some more cool stuff coming up next weekend too. So we couldn't let the fans just let this thing go away all year long. So we had to make something cool. So we got something cool coming up.
You've given me a little bit of info here and there, so I'm not divulging anything yet. But you've gotten pretty. This is a creative little weekend you're doing. This isn't just live streaming, which is a tough enough gig. But you're putting some things together on this. You want to tell us a little bit about what's up each night?
Yeah, I'm super happy to. Thanks for asking. We have 2 nights of programming. We got Friday night, the 29th, and that night is actually also Brant Bjork's record release day, so his record comes out on the 29th. So we have the first hour of programming is all about Brant and his new record. There's 8 tracks on the new record, and Brant has recorded acoustic versions of 5 of those songs. And so we're going to perform those 5, and the other 3 we have made music videos for. and we're gonna play them in album order. So some will be acoustic. Shot Brant out this gorgeous spot out in Joshua Tree, and then the other ones have desert scenery, and so you get a chance on the first hour to hear Brant Bjork's records, some of the album cuts, and some Brant playing acoustic.
Sweet.
Yeah, and then it's going to be a hosted. I'm calling it a hosted watch party because it's going to be live. Brant is going to be there introducing, being live streaming as a host. And then we're gonna roll the tapes of the cuts we made, and then in hour 2 it's gonna continue with live hosting. We're gonna have Brant and Sean Wheeler, desert legend Sean Wheeler, and Mario Lally, perhaps some other desert friends hanging out, and we're gonna introduce some cuts, the best of Stoned and Dusted. We got permission from the bands, and we're gonna be showing one song from 10 different acts that night who played Stoned and Dusted in the last 2 years. So it should be a fun night of music on Friday, and Saturday we're going to do a similar type thing where Saturday the 30th we're going to premiere a Yawning Man concert film, which we just shot out in the desert.
Trippy.
It's beautifully shot. It's in this amazing location. I'll save that till when you tune in and see, but it's,
okay.
It looks incredible. It sounds incredible. We brought out professional sound to record it. We have drones flying through. It's as epic as you can imagine Yawning Man in the desert.
So it's
every bit of that.
Very cool. Is this taking place on YouTube or pay-per-view, or what's going on, man?
It's going to be YouTube, and we'll be announcing how to get to it soon.
Very cool.
But you'll be able to go to our website, CaliforniaDesertWizardsAssociation.com, and that'll be sort of the main point for getting to this thing both nights. And on Saturday also we have 10 more encore performances from 10 different bands who played Stoned and Dusted. So we'll have a total between 2 nights of 20 Stoned and Dusted shows, basically just one song from each band.
Give us a little nibble on a few of the bands we're gonna hear besides the 2 with the songs tonight. Give us a little taste of what we're gonna see on this.
I mean, we have a lot here. We've got almost everybody really. We've got Melvins, we've got Fu Manchu, we've got a Brant Bjork full band performance, we've got Resin, we've got Big Pig, footage from Black Mountain, footage from Acid King, footage from Mark Lanigan, footage from Radio Moscow and King Buffalo, Lopan, Sgt. Papers, and that's just the bands that played last year. We have a lot more bands from the year prior too, which will also include Nebula and Big Business and Beastmaker and Ecstatic Vision, Sean Wheeler, Bala, and Green Druid. So a lot of rad shows from Stoned and Dusted.
No Sasquatch?
Oh, sorry, Sasquatch too. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, absolutely, Sasquatch for sure.
Are you gonna have live footage of the sound guy in Acid?
Yes, there's some of that for sure.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
I hope you didn't catch the one where I clocked him real hard and no one's looking at that. No, I'm joking.
I
Oh
think I
my
still owe
god,
you
what a
50
day
bucks
that
for that,
was.
John.
Ryan, what a day that was for everyone.
Yeah. Guys, the sound guy in Acid became like a show within a show.
Oh, really?
Billy, I'll give you a little background.
Okay.
I worked with Ryan. This is his festival. I worked with Ryan on that one. That's how we initially met. And just fast forward to this shit happening. And I'll never forget Ryan. I'm the one who came up to him like, Ryan, we gotta. I was like the worst bearer of bad news ever. And I'm like, dude, that sound guy's all fucked up. Like, he's really fucked up.
Oh, guys, he showed up the night before to produce the event. About 12 hours later than he should have been there. And he's like, Ryan, I'm tripping so hard on acid right now, bro. I was like, bro, you gotta produce a stage and lights and sound. Like, right now, we have bands coming here in 14 hours. Pull it together. He's like, bro, I'm not used to working under these conditions. Don't pressure me.
Oh, no shit. It's called being on acid. Why are you on this right now?
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I mean, I was one of the people privy enough to see him plug in one of his things in the sand. Like he was putting it in the dirt. And
Oh yeah.
and
Plugging microphones into dirt. You mic the rock and then plug this cord into dirt.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe he knew something we didn't. I don't know.
Keith from Sasquatch was just priceless in his description later on. After he kind of unwound after the set, he was singing Destroyer, the song Destroyer, and he was staring right at the guy because the guy was fiddling around with one of the speakers, like over on the side of the stage. It's insanity. I took a picture of some of it, and of course they changed the bass drum.
Damn near ruined it, I gotta say, but we
Well,
kicked him out.
you know what?
Told him not to come
It's
the second
maybe
day,
never
and he
going to be
didn't come.
forgotten. So just remember
Yeah.
that.
Well, he won't,
You know.
and that won't, and that's why every time we build a show, there's always a band called Sound Guy on Acid, which is not really a band, but we bill it like that every year. It's just part of the history now.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, guys, should we transition into some of the songs we selected for this segment?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, John, why don't you tell us what you got on your plate tonight?
My first song is from Ethereal Sea. Ethereal.
I think it's Ethereal Sea, but
Ethereal Sea, and we'll get the.
John's got ether on the mind, so you know.
Ether. Yeah, you just had the ethyl ether last week.
That's right. South Africa.
It's on the album Forgotten Memories of Tomorrow, and I don't know what that really means, quite frankly, but it's my favorite song on the album. This is a really upbeat, groovy one. Good stuff. I mean, the whole album actually has a nice little separation of different stuff. Big keyboards, actually. Keyboards, that's synth / whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. But this song is definitely the rocker of the bunch. High on You. So
they're from my neck of the woods. They're my Portland homies.
There we go.
Yeah. I saw them play last year. I want to say everything's a blur, guys. I don't even know what century we're in, but I think it was last year. I saw them play before all this craziness happened, and they were just possessed. I mean, I'd never heard them like that before, and so. You picking out this song kind of reminded me, oh gosh, they have a new album out, which I hadn't had a chance to listen to yet, and I was impressed. I think they got their A game on.
Yeah, it's not like a super heavy kind of stuff. I mean, not everything's supposed to be, you know? It's just got good heavy / hard rock elements just kind of mismatched in there together, and good music regardless. So it passed my test, we'll say. I dig it.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of tests and things like that, Brian picks Acid King, like acid test. But Ryan,
John and his puns tonight, they're just not landing.
Acid King. Ryan, tell us about Acid King. Played last year, 2019.
Yes, they played last year. I booked Acid King. They're one of my favorite bands. To me, they were the gateway to Doom. To me, they're the penultimate Doom band. I think they define the genre, and I love what they do. So, they've introduced me to a lot more Doom bands just by going down the rabbit hole, and yeah. So I really would love to have Acid King on pretty much every event I do. I love them so much.
They are amazing, yeah.
When did they start? Like, what's the first Acid King album? What year?
The first album is called Bussy Woods, and that came out 20 years ago. The reissue just came out last year, so I guess that'd be 99.
Billy's in the background going, this guy knows his Doom also. But Billy's like, yeah, that's right. Okay. You guys are an encyclopedia on some of this stuff along the way. And in Doom here, that's definitely your two's forte. How many of the original members were playing in the last one? What's the breakdown, roughly?
I think the show that they played with us, it might have been just Lori. 2 years prior, we had them, and I think it was Laurie and Joey, the drummer. I think he was the original drummer, or one of the early drummers anyway, and he played 2 years ago. Right. And I'm not sure about the guitar player on that one, sorry.
You know what, I like when bands continue, even if it doesn't have the full thing, because, man, if the music's good, it's going to keep rocking. Live, it's a good show. So I've seen a number of bands like that. It's really, really interesting to see it. And yeah, man, they finished up that night, right? They were the last band that night?
They weren't the last band, but they did play under the liquid lights. Black Mountain was the last band last year.
Which one?
Yeah. Black Mountain played last, right after Acid.
Oh, that's right. God, I screwed that up.
I mean, I don't know if Brant talked at all about his experience watching Acid King under those liquid light shows, but
No, we didn't
holy
touch
moly,
that.
it was so psychedelic and so heavy and so rad.
Oh, I was so looking forward to being there this year, and I was going to eat mushrooms for like the first time in at least a decade or so. But I'll just have to put pause on that and hope for next year.
Just don't overdo it next year, John.
Overdo it. What the hell's going on?
Feels like you're kind of saving up all this pent-up energy.
Oh, no. I'm not going to even think about it until it gets close to time. Then I get all nervous. But anyways, what'd you pick?
Yeah.
Why this song, Ryan? Why?
It's one of my favorite live songs from Acid King. It's not from Bussy Woods. It's from Middle of Nowhere, Center of Everywhere. And I picked this one probably because I love it so much, and also maybe if people only know their first record, this would be a proof positive that they didn't get lame. They kept it awesome, and it's a newer record, and it's still just as good as every Acid King you've ever heard.
Definitely.
Right on. Now, Ryan, how long have you been? Let's meet Ryan here for a minute. Okay. Wait, Ryan, how long have you been in the music business? Give us a little, just how many years?
Jeez. Probably, 20 years, I would say, easily.
And you grew up in Ohio, right?
Yeah. My first real music industry job was at the Newport Music Hall in Columbus, which is the longest continually running rock club in America. And I used to go see shows there a lot when I was 16, all these metal thrash bands all the time, see everybody that came through. And I just loved that club so much and had so much great experience there that when I had to get an internship for college, that they were the first people that I called and the only internship I ever had. That's how I got my start, just producing concerts and being the runner, buying all the lunch meats and breads and all that stuff for the dressing room, stocking it up on ice and beer and whatever the bands wanted, So that was my first job. I got the taste of it then.
That's amazing.
That's
awesome.
I just never stopped wanting to do music. So I moved to New York City for a couple years and worked for a music magazine there that also put on a music festival called CMJ. They're now out of business, but they were like the South by Southwest of New York City. So I worked there for 2 years. I did music reviews and wrote about bands and produced the events, and then came back to Columbus and managed a band. That was my first taste of management, really, and managed them. And I moved to LA as a result of that because they were doing really well in Columbus. And I thought, well, if I move to LA, I can connect them with the real industry that existed out here. So I moved. They ended up breaking up shortly after I moved here, but it got me to LA. So here I am.
That's always odd the way the path goes, man. We end up somewhere and we're like, oh, fuck. And then you turn into something good.
For sure.
Totally. I was excited to come to LA. I love Los Angeles. Had a very good time there. I think I'm.
Yeah, you love the traffic.
Just give me a chance to, give you a call and shoot shit for an hour when I drive my 13 miles home.
Hey, how long does that take?
That takes an hour. I'm driving literally 13 miles an hour in Los Angeles.
Miles. Bill, you hear that?
I don't envy that aspect of it, but I know like every friend I have in LA loves living there. It's just a great place to be in terms of your connection to the music scene, the culture, to food, to film, to everything.
Weather.
The weather makes all the difference. Yeah.
That is the number one thing about LA to people. One of them. It is for me. My favorite thing about LA is the weather. I dig it.
Oh yeah.
And you still got some good music happening over there. There's venues I see with the same names over there that still do shows. Not just the typical shit. Delves into the underground. So it's good to see that. More downtown, right, Ryan? A lot of those spots?
Yeah, downtown is big now, and I live in Echo Park, which is a great neighborhood for rock clubs and the local scene there. It's like the real proving ground and birthing place for the rock scene in LA.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard good things about Echo Park lately. Absolutely. Now, Acid King is from where?
San Francisco.
Yep.
Lori lives there.
Yeah, they're a Bay Area band.
Now, let's hop the sea a little bit with your choice, Billy.
Yeah, and I almost feel like I should have chosen something out of California now, since we're talking about it, but mine comes from London, actually, and this will take us into the break here, and it is Orange Goblin. They just put out a live album from their festival appearances in, I think it was France, Greece, and their home city. And they captured like 12, 13, 14 tracks between 2016 and 2019. The album is called Rough and Ready, Live and Loud. And then I selected the song Some You Win, Some You Lose. It's one of my favorites from these guys. Orange Goblin was really a gateway for me into the global stoner rock scene. Because, we've talked about in the past on this show just how our music horizons have evolved over the years. But, at a certain time in my life, I was not conscious of really too much outside of the American scene. Or at least I thought everything I was listening to was American.
Right.
At the time,
That happens.
As far as like underground music and just that rich, heavy vibe, Orange Goblin was a huge eye-opener. Not too many years after I discovered them, they came to my little old city of Eugene, and that was like a huge surprise because these guys are like festival headliners. I don't think they really knew where they were coming, but they drew a crowd and a half in this little basement club in downtown Eugene, and that was my first experience with like a really hard-hitting stoner metal show. And I thought I was gonna be cute and film the whole thing on my smartphone, and that crowd had other ideas. And before I knew it, I was from right in front of Ben Ward, who's this huge towering figure, right, with my little phone, and within seconds, I was at the end of the concert hall, and I didn't know how I got there. The crowd just like they surfed me all the way back.
Jesus.
Awesome.
So this song kind of reminds me of that little Virgin experience. Yeah.
Those little basement shows at a bar are always interesting. And you mentioned Ben Ward. He's so big.
Mm-hmm.
like how high was the ceiling? Because the basement bars a lot of times, speaking from experience, I'm last time I checked 6'2", 6'2.5", or something like that. And you go down and you're like, oh, it's a little lower down here. Was that a lower experience that boxed you in? Kind of feel, or was it a little bit higher?
More or less, yeah. I mean, it wasn't quite that fire disaster waiting to happen low ceiling, but it was kind of a place where salsa. My wife had dragged me there time again for salsa dancing lessons at the time.
Wow.
True story. I accidentally broke a chick's nose with my elbow doing a salsa dancer maneuver.
That's awesome.
And you could hear the crack in this, and it was in the very same place
Actually,
where
that's
this
not awesome.
Orange Goblin concert later happened. And you could hear the crack in the entire classroom, and I was so
How did you do
mortified.
that?
I don't know. We were about the same size, I guess, or whatever, and I was holding her hand up and twirling her around, and then my elbow just caught her right in the nose, and there was a big crack,
no.
and she was on ice for the rest of the show. I was mortified. I swear I'd never go back to this place.
I can't even believe you're talking about it now.
I know,
But if you
it's-
feel better because of
I
it,
didn't even remember it until just now. This is how traumatic this is.
Let
But
it purge, Billy.
Orange Goblin got me back there. What can I say?
That's awesome.
Well, why don't we...
I don't even want to talk about my Orange Goblin experience.
Oh.
How are you going to do it?
You're not going to do it?
No. Can't follow that up.
Okay. Well, we'll have a chance to visit Orange Goblin again on the show, for sure. Let's take a break. We'll be back with our final segment and more with John and Ryan and Billy here on the Dune and Stone Show.
Rock, baby,
It's called Some You Win, Some You Lose. You know the words I wanna hear sing along. You never got reason, you never got pride. Some you win, some you lose. Never got money and you never got time. Some you win, some you lose. Never got whiskey, you never got wine. Some you win, some you lose. Never got drugs, but you always feel mine. Some you win, some you lose. Your system of pain won't take you home. This losing streak you're on, last time ever known. Played the joker, and now you're about to fold. Raise you and I'll see you, you standing in the cold. Never got action, you never got speed. Some you win, some you lose. Never got anything that I ever need. Some you win, some you lose. Never got nothing, you never got none. Some you win, some you lose. You never get turned, you're the young one. Some you win, some you lose. Your system of things won't take you home. Since this streak you're on, last time ever known. Played the joker, and now you're about to fold. Raise you and I'll see you, you standing in the cold, alright. Never got reason, you never got pride. Some you win, some you lose. Never got money and you never got time. Some you win, some you lose. Never got whiskey, you never got wine. Some you win, some you lose. Never get drugs, but you always do mine. Some you win, some you lose. Your system of things won't take you home. Still this streak you're on, last I've ever known. Played the joker, and now you're about to fold. Raise you and I'll see you, you standing in the cold. Let's go. Some you win, some you lose. 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 Some you win, some you lose.
We just heard Orange Goblin. That was Some You Win, Some You Lose from their Rough and Ready Live and Loud album. Acid King brought us Coming Down from Outer Space from Middle of Nowhere, Center of Everywhere. Great pick from Ryan. And John picked Ethereal Sea with High on You from their just released Forgotten Memories of Tomorrow. And for the final segment, we just kind of went all in on some of our wild and crazy finds, and I guess I'm leading the charge here. This band that I chose, I literally just discovered like today. I'd had their promo for a while, but I hadn't listened to it, and I was listening to a lot of promos today. And honestly, guys, like, I don't know about the rest of you, but sometimes you just skip a lot of tracks when you're going through that. I don't. For any band who's patient, thinking that I patiently listen to every song front to center, that would be cool if, like,
Not fucking boss.
I wasn't getting quite the volume that I'm getting now, but,
Exactly.
after a while you kind of figure out, okay, like, everyone's doing that riff, skip, all those vocals don't really match, okay, skip. And sometimes it's a subjective experience, right? But anyway, This band
Each of us have our own system.
Exactly, yeah.
I haven't heard two people say the same thing ever, including myself.
Yeah, I mean, some people
and,
probably...
That's what makes it unique, is there's enough people to care that have a decent ear enough. You know, people would hopefully wouldn't listen to people that are referring music to them that's really not that good.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You and I both hope we, up to our systems of our own, we come out with some good shit, you know, that...
Yeah, I don't know if it's a system
so,
or just the product of frustration, but I get through sometimes a lot of music in a short period of time, and if it doesn't catch my ear and make sense and sound different or sound familiar but
right.
very, very unique in its own way, then it kind of gets skipped. So this Batwizard band, which I didn't know anything about, they're from Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville.
You know, here I thought I was being really clever by not saying Louisville and saying Louisville, but I didn't quite make it there.
No, you gotta go
Louisville.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Jesus
None
Christ.
of us can get it right. Probably one part of the city says it one way, one the other. It doesn't matter. But
Yeah.
Batwizard's a great name.
Yeah,
But the thing is the name of the song you picked. We should have had it playing after. It'd have to be playing after Acid King. Because the name of the song is what?
Acid Enforcer. I didn't look up the lyrics, so I'm not sure what the lyrics are about. I haven't taken time to kind of dissect that, but
what album is that?
Yeah, it's an EP called Void Fiend, and this is Void Fiend, and I guess this is their second record. They had an LP before this in 2008, and then this EP came out in January to very little notice. This is also an example of why bands, you want to get your promos together and send them out. I think I just downloaded this by pure accident off of Bandcamp. I don't even know how I found it, but somehow it ended up in my inbox this month.
And you listen to it, and you're like, you know what? All right. Well, describe it. We know that from.
Okay, yeah. So their style is, I kind of summed it up as doom-fried classic hardcore with elements of thrash. So they describe their sound as absurd Hesher metal. And if that doesn't kind of pique your curiosity, then think of them as kind of a good bedfellow with High on Fire.
Right.
Yeah.
When you say bedfellow...
I'm thinking Void Fiend. Doesn't take much to get John giggling on these shows, I'll tell you. Just get that champagne of beer in him, and he's ready to go for hours.
Yeah. I am. I just winding it up. 3 beers, a couple of hits of weed, and I'm a happy person.
I like
but
it.
I hate myself. I should hate myself for it, I'm sure.
No.
Now, Ryan,
entertaining.
Now, Ryan, you pick a song from a band that first time I got to see them was at Stone and Dusted 2018, and these are impressive style. Tell us a bit about your pick.
All right. Well, I picked a song from the band Ecstatic Vision. Picked the track Astral Plane Part 1, and they have Astral Plane Part 1, 2, and 3. The album is Sonic Praise, and I first discovered this band. They sent it to me as a promo for the press, because at the time I was writing for Rolling Heavy magazine. I was doing the music for that mag, and which is a custom band magazine, and so I didn't know anything about them. They're a new band at the time, I guess, and you know, I've always heard, like, you'll know it in the first 15 seconds. Those days back when I was working at CMJ, I'd go to these panels, and these music industry experts would say, well, you know it in the first 15 seconds, whether you like it or not. I always thought, you know, that's so unfair to bands, but, you know, as I got older and started listening to more and more and more and getting these promos, I realized they were right. and I would say this, though, Ecstatic Vision, this song took maybe more like 30 to 45 seconds, but the first sonic sounds were right in there. I was like, okay, this is going to get interesting. This is going to get really good. And this band Ecstatic Vision has become one of my favorite bands, and you'll hear it. There's elements of like Afrobeat in here, and totally spaced out psychedelic fuzz guitar and crazy rhythms, and it's just so cool. It's so different and unique that I fell in love right away. So I ended up booking these guys for Desert Generator, which was the precursor to Stoned and Dusted, and I just loved it so much. I flew them out. I knew that they probably weren't worth the money and tickets that since they were so new, but
Right.
I knew that they were going to add to an incredible night of music. So
I know where you're coming from on that, brother. I know where you're coming from on that. It's the sacrifice we do because we want the show to be a piece of art in itself. Am I wrong on that?
Exactly. No, you're not wrong at all. And so since then, I've been championing these guys.
Yeah, and they were so good. You know what it reminded me of? And I told them right after the show, and a couple of them were just cracking up. Because they might have been cracking up because they were smoking weed, but I don't know. But I said to them, man, you guys remind me of like the Doors, but like really fucked up. You know, we just like, right? And they were kind of like, oh, that's cool, I think. You know, something like that. And yeah, they really bring a nice, heavy live experience. But it's got the old school organ a lot of times, and it's great. And vocally, and it's, yeah, I dig them. Where are they from?
They're from Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Philly, okay.
Yeah. So we brought them out on tour with Brant Bjork last year through the U.S. So Brant Bjork fans got a chance to check out Ecstatic Vision and see what they're all about. And we had them back at Stone and Dusted 2 years ago. And, you know, I just love being around Doug. That guy's so cool and so funny and so fun. And he's got great energy in person, and on stage he really brings it. Like, really brings it. It's fun. So I hope you guys dig the tracks.
You know, you just kind of remind me of something. One of my favorite things about Stone and Dusted, it probably is my favorite festival. And so, and I like Psycho Vegas. I've been every single time, and it's been a great experience every single time. But Stone and Dusted's unique. That particularly the desert scene day or two, whatever. That's always very. It's just something that you're not gonna be able to do many times in your life. That's it. It's in such cool Mother Nature with so many cool people. That like you can hang out, you know, out on a mountainside over here with who knows who that's playing in the show. So a lot of people like to just take it in and enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean it's in this incredible desert spot. The bands hang out. I mean, I call it a party. I don't call it a festival. It's a party. It's a small event. You know, we have 300 people at the most, plus the band's hanging out, and you know, it's kind of a free for all, really. It's really we try to just
particularly at night.
I'm just gonna say we try to throw the party that we want to be at. You know, that's what this is. We throw the party we want to be at.
Nice.
I can attest to that. And Billy, it's just this amazing experience that you're really never alone. Or if you want to be alone, you can be alone. It's easy. You know what I mean? But the music itself, there's an onslaught that comes out of you of variety and styles, especially manicured along the way, we'll say. And Brian's done an amazing job with his setup of these shows. I missed, damn it, Desert Generator with a band that who knows when we ever get to see them again. Oh God, now I forget what their name is. That's all. I haven't seen them in so long. I haven't even seen them.
You must be talking about Orchid.
Yeah, it's like they don't even exist, and they barely ever played in America to begin with. But you got them down there. Was that a good show?
That was amazing, dude. I mean, they sound a lot like Black Sabbath, and
good.
They killed it, and they played their first show in a long time, and maybe their first show for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think they played since.
I would love to have them back.
I would definitely travel to see them.
Yeah, I tried to get them on Planet Desert Rock. I couldn't get them. Mm-hmm. I'm like, damn, that's too bad.
Well, Desert Generator was a really special thing. We had a custom band show for the first 2 years. So you come and you hang out in the daytime and you go party in these vans, you know, these custom like 1970s Dodge, Chevy, and Ford vans that people, you know, tricked out and you party and drink beer in there. And then after that, there's a rock show, and after that you go camp in your vans and party on. So it was a special thing that I don't think it's going to happen again for a while, but it was really fun.
You know, when things, that reminds me, Ryan, when things like that happen, and it sounds really cool to people, but when it's time to make the decision, you got to do it quick, or you got to do it at some point in time, or else you'll just have to be the one to look back at it. And man, I'll tell you what, I don't know when I'm going to die, and hell, it could be later this year, or it could be in 50 years. But I know I'm not going to be sitting there going, oh, shit, you know, should have relaxed more. I mean, maybe if I die in like 5 years, maybe I'd say that. Actually, like, what the fuck? I should have slowed down. No. Because it's a really good 50-something years, though, versus a really bland 80. So,
well, I think you're right, man. My email signature, everyone, ends with, while we live, let's live. And you better just have fun while you got the chance, because it doesn't last forever.
Nothing's guaranteed. I mean, at any point in time, and anywhere, and it blows me away when people just decide to sit on the couch. You know, speaking of couch. Speaking of couch, why don't you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, so the thing we're doing next weekend is called Couch Lock and Rock. And, you know, we know everyone's, like, stuck on their couch, wishing they were at a rock show, wishing they were stoned and dusted right now, wishing they were partying with their buddies in the club down the street. So this is called Couch Lock and Rock. And Couch Lock,
where'd you get that name?
Couch Lock is a term that means too stoned to get off the couch.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah, you can look it up in the Urban Dictionary, and so
that's awesome.
So that's why we named it Couch Lock and Rock.
I love it.
Oh yeah, I'll have to look it up, and then I'll just try to randomly find some crazy description of sex or some perverted version of it, because they have the best descriptions ever in there. Rusty trombone, for instance, you know, whatever. You get it. But I digress.
Yeah.
But
hey,
okay.
Go ahead.
No, please, you go ahead.
Well, I just think it's gonna be we're bringing our party to the people who can't come to our party. I mean, that's essentially it. You know, like this weekend, right now, you should be in the desert. You should be, you know, have a pocket full of mushrooms and a joint behind your ear and a beer in each hand and ready to go see fucking Corrosion of Conformity. You know. But you know, that's not going to happen this time. But I'm actually pretty happy to announce that we do have Corrosion of Conformity booked for next year. So those guys are going to be there.
All right.
Yeah.
Nothing like partying with those boys.
Well,
Pepper
I'm going to have to get over there, guys. I'm going to have to do this. I'm actually roll out to the desert.
I'll probably be living in Florida, and I'll fly back over.
Well, just like John is saying, you know, these parties not necessarily last forever. Desert Generator didn't last forever.
True.
You know, so it's act now, because who knows?
Yeah.
And we also have Dead Meadow confirmed again for next year. So our two headliners are in there, and
that's a catch.
We're really hoping that Earthless will come back, and all the bands really. I would love to just keep the lineup as it is for next year, because I think we had an insane lineup this year, and you know, some bands might fall out, but hopefully not. We'll see what happens.
Sweet.
Good news, right there.
Well, John, you're closing us out with this band I haven't heard of before.
Because it's hot off the presses.
Okay, tell us.
This band's called Formula 400. They're part of the San Diego scene. I was privy enough to get 7 or 8 of their songs from Kip Page, formerly of Ride the Sun. So some folks are familiar with that band back in the day. He's also in a band Silo. So this guy's been brewing these things for a number of years. Kip's a man about the scene. Anyone in San Diego that goes to shows knows Big Kip. Kip's bigger and taller than me. Big motherfucker. And he's the one thumping on the bass and kind of helping guide and put these things together. And this song is just great shit. Light My Way it's got a groove and it's got a corrosion conformity vibe. But man, it's one of those songs that you're just gonna, you hear it a few times and it's gonna catch your shit quick. It'll catch you early, but then now you're starting to feel it because it's just got a good stuff going on with the music itself, good vocals too. Formula 400.
Right on, right.
Yep.
I'm excited to check it out.
And the whole album's good. I think I even gave you the permission there on that. So check it out. Really advanced. 2 different vocalists, 2 different parts of the album. So that's an interesting little tidbit for you. Yep, out of San Diego. So great scene down there. I am continuously impressed with the amount of stuff in San Diego. In my opinion, I like San Diego's scene better than any of the other scenes in California for new music. I'm San Diego over LA and San Diego over the desert because there's some, but not enough. San Diego literally does huge amounts, and then there's San Francisco, but San Diego's got that psych scene thing, literally 2 of the best bands in the world of that sound. Earthless, Radio Moscow, Anchor, the beginnings of, probably the continuance of just some really good heavy psych of all flavors. It's just so amazing, the different flavors of psych within San Diego. There's no real stereotype trend except among certain fringe bands, and that's barely. It's really creative. I give San Diego a big. I brought out probably 7 of their bands here at some point in the last year. Sacramani, which is a spin-off of Radio Moscow, had some good stuff. Billy, I'm sure you heard some of the Sacramani.
Yeah, they're a great band. I was just thinking about another San Diego band that I'm familiar with, and I've never heard them actually say their band name, so I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. But
no, not this again.
It's every week. It's interpret the band name on the show.
But this one's from San Diego. It should be easy. It's not Romania.
I'll just say Beira, B-E-I-R-A, Beira. Yeah, Beira. That sounds good. But yeah, those guys are on Transylvania Tapes out of Oakland, but they're from San Diego, and kind of a doom metal vibe they got going on there. So yeah, I guess I do know a couple San Diego bands.
What's his name? AJ's in that band, right?
I think
Ludo?
So. Oh, yep, AJ is. He's on drums and vocals.
Yeah, he's in another band in San Diego. There's a lot of great Mezua.
I forgot to ask Brant whether he's ever drummed and sang at the same time, because that to me is the ultimate talent.
Oh,
when you can do that.
Yeah.
You were
That's
gone,
really hard to
Henry. Right, Ryan, I got a question for you, bud.
Sure.
Tell us real quick, how did you meet Brant? How did your paths cross?
Well, it goes back to Desert Generator. I was writing for the music column for Rolling Heavy, and Matt, the guy that runs the magazine, and I were scheming on putting together a van show with a rock concert after, and we saw Brant Bjork playing Coachella wearing a Rolling Heavy magazine t-shirt. We're holy shit, Brant knows about us. So we reached out to him, interviewed him, and talked to him about our event. He's like, yeah, I know the gals at Pappy and Harriet's real well. We should do it there. And that was our number 1 pick anyway. So he opened the door to Pappy's, and we threw that show with Orchid and Brant and Earthless, and that was an Ecstatic Vision, and we had a hell of a night. And after the event, Brant was like, Ryan, that was so amazing. I want you to manage me. I'm firing my manager, and I want you to manage me. So that's how it began.
Wow. That's awesome.
That's great.
So it's been history ever since then. We've done a lot of fun stuff together, and I gotta say that's what I love to do in life, is make cool shit happen. And it's being with Brant, it's very easy to do.
And that's just one of your full-time jobs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I also have an actual full-time job where I'm a record label manager for a classic rock label that's put out stuff from Steppenwolf and Blue Cheer and Alvin Lee.
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of classic rock and guitar running through my daily life.
Right on.
Heck yeah, that's awesome.
In this industry, you definitely have to have more than a few side hustles going on to your main thing.
That's right. That's right. You do.
And what your main thing is really changes from any given moment of the day or week. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, this latest Brant album, it's really, it's pure. I mean, is the weird word I want to describe it. It just feels smooth and pure.
Man, you're so right. I love this new record so much. Brant, it came down to really having 2 weeks to make this entire record. Brant went into the studio, his own studio up here in Joshua Tree, and wrote and recorded every bit of what you just heard on that record. Every bit of it, all by himself. Wrote it and recorded it. I mean, he had an engineer, this guy Yosef, who's amazing and super talented, and they made this record together in 2 weeks. And I can't believe what comes out of Brant. This guy, I don't know what he went in with, but to come out with this in 2 weeks is just incredible. It's mind-blowing. The songs are so good, and he's got one of my favorite songs of all time, Duke of Dynamite. This song is just so cool, so laid back, and but so dark at the same time. And
little storytelling.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So I'm really proud of Brant, and of course I shouldn't be surprised, and I'm not, because the guy blows me away every time. But holy shit, to come out of this 2-week session with this record is pretty amazing.
Yeah. And sometimes the best stuff is done with a simplicity format, but when you listen, you're like, yes, who cares? It's good. Some of us are able to do that, a lot of us, and I think this kind of stuff that he's doing is it's catchy as shit. I mean, this song Stardust and Diamond Eyes that we played earlier, we're playing now. This song really has a cool, meandering, lazy way about it. Bass, it kind of gets you moving around a little bit, actually. And then it slows to a halt for the chorus, which is a really different thing. But the song is just pulled off brilliantly along the way.
Well, I got a chance to hear that song twice in a row last weekend when we recorded this, and Brant just played it acoustically, and I really got a chance to focus in on the lyrics and the delivery and the vibe of the whole thing. And I think if anyone tunes in next week on Friday to hear this thing, Brant doing it acoustically, they're going to be really impressed also just by the songwriting, on top of what he did on the album. This is the song stripped down to an acoustic guitar really, really delivers.
Give us that website one more time where people can go for more information.
Yeah, so the event's called Couch Lock and Rock, and you can find more information on our website, which is CaliforniaDesertWizardsAssociation.com. So warm up your typing fingers, because it's a long one.
Right on.
I regret that I picked that URL every single time I have to type in my own email address.
Well, Ryan, we sure appreciate you being on the Doomed and Stone show this week and kind of sharing your vision and the history of it, and wish you a lot of luck in the weeks and months ahead as we look into 2021 for the next Stoned and Dusted.
Thank you, Billy. It's been really fun and super glad to be here, and thanks for giving me the time. I really appreciate it.
Well, guys, we appreciate you tuning in to the Doomed and Stone show this week, and you can support the show on Patreon by becoming a High on Fiverr supporter, $5 a month. I claim credit for that one, yes. With
Nice.
inspiration to High on Fire, of course. And that just allows us to continue hosting the show and paying our bills and all that good stuff. And then you get some exclusive content in the process, which is how it all works. Go to patreon.com/doomed and stoned. John, anything you want to add here as we close down?
Thank you, Billy. Ryan, thanks for popping on here with us, and really look forward to catching the show next week.
Thanks, John.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, man.
All
and
right.
Billy, thank you as always.
You got it, man. And to everybody else out there, doom on.
Explosion!
light my way. Light my way. Light 'em up and take 'em down. Burn those bridges to the ground. Burn those bridges down. Burn those bridges light my way. Light 'em up and take 'em down. Burn those bridges to the ground.
Does anybody have the time? 5 after 12. Okay, that's enough for today. On Monday, we'll talk about another pattern that might be of interest to all of you, cannibalism. Have a good weekend.
The preceding was a presentation of Doomed and Stoned.